Jim, Rowan, how you going? We are up to, well, we just got to the end of April 2008 in the Wrestle Me Weekly History Series. So to pick up where we left off, just a run through of the champions at this time. The Junior Heavyweight Championship is held by Wataru Inoue, and that has been the case since the 8th of December 2007. He last defended that title against Christopher Daniels. That was when Daniels picked up a singles win over him in a non-title match, and then came back to Japan a couple of months later to take his shot, but unsuccessful was Daniels. In the junior heavyweight tag scene, we've got the Legend team, Akira and Jushin Thunder Liger, in their first reign together. They won the titles in February of 2008, and they last defended the titles against the rising young pair of Tetsuya Naito and Yujiro Takahashi, now known as No Limit. The heavyweight tag team championship is held by the baddest dudes of GBH, Togi Makabe and Toru Yano. That also, on the same day, started as the junior heavyweight tag reign, the 17th of February 2008, and they last defended the titles just very recently. In terms of this series, the 27th of April, it was against Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Takashi Iizuka, and that is when that Snake Iizuka turned on Tenzan to join GBH and ignite even further one of the really, I mean, I have to say the biggest feud of the year, without getting ahead of myself. We're not even halfway through, but Tenzan was pissed before, but now he really kicks off, having trusted one extra guy to take on all of these GBH guys, and then that guy turns on him. So he's not in good spirits, but we'll get back to that. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura was the champion since the Tokyo Dome show, January 4th, but that came to an end on the same day as that last match I talked about, the 27th of April. He was defeated by Keiji Muto, who became IWGP Heavyweight Champion for the 4th time. Keiji Muto is your IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Your New Japan Cup winner this year, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He defeated Giant Bernard in the final. He is the first to become a 2-time New Japan Cup winner. He has already cashed in the championship shot that tournament victory earned him, but he was unsuccessful against Nakamura. Speaking of tournaments, though, Tanahashi also entered the Champion Carnival over in All Japan. Suwama ended up winning that in the final against Tanahashi. Good match that was. Suwama also since then has become the Triple Crown champion. I think that was right at the end of April. Men, I suppose, will do the rounds. So the 0-1 Max World Champion is Masato Tanaka. He's held that title for a while now. And the TNA World Heavyweight Champion is Samoa Joe, who defeated Kurt Angle, I believe. Might have been a 3-way match. TNA's a bit hard to keep up with. And I think I'm going to taper off in my coverage of them because I don't know. It's they don't seem to interact with New Japan as much for a little while, in terms of shared storylines or anything like that. I don't know. Kurt Angle was probably a big part of that deal, and he's certainly on the way out. But let's get to it. Speaking of tournaments, it's the second major tournament of the year that we'll cover in this episode. The Best of Super Juniors, but a little bit to get through before we get to that. We resume on the 2nd of May, 2008. show called Njpw Aggressive. It was held in Korakuen Hall. We had a couple undercard matches here. Rise had Minoru and Nakamura representing them to defeat Taguchi and Inoue in a tag match. For GBH, Makabe and Yano defeated the other Rise team of Bernard and Milano Collection. Most significantly on this card, though, was Tenzan's first opportunity at revenge over Takashi Iizuka. A singles match between them. It ended in a no contest after just 2 minutes. I wasn't able to find this match, but actually, you know what? I feel like I'll, just to be sure, just search for it one more time. But they had so many matches. So this year they would have a fair few matches. So 2nd of May. This wasn't a big show, so it's kind of going to be harder to find for that reason. No, nothing comes up. But obviously, I mean, not much of a match anyway. Really, we would just be more interested in the storyline. And speaking of that, I wonder if I can find it using the following information, which is, I'm searching at the same time, I'm sorry, which is that this is the first time we see Iizuka with a new look, a shaved head, a sinister looking little chin beard, and perhaps more importantly, a vastly different wrestling style. Much more aggressive, basically a hardcore wrestling style, to put it in American terms. The tag team stalwart, the mild-mannered, join the babyface team as default babyface person who probably takes the pinfall, Iizuka, is dead, and it has been replaced by this devilish, scary-looking fellow with the same name. So that's the biggest change I can think of off the top of my head that we've talked about during this series, at least. Really, not just a change in look, but a change in style completely, and in demeanor, in everything for Iizuka. This was a real classic good guy to bad guy heel turn, like just straight away. Foreshadowing maybe, but just the fact that it was so clear cut in, he shows up one day a babyface, he commits the heel act, and the next time you see him, it's just so very clear that he's now a different person, a heel, a bad person. So yeah, that's the 2nd of May. That's when we first see Iizuka's new look and style. No contest makes me think that perhaps the match didn't even make it to the ring anyway, but there you go. That's significant here. Also on that card, though, Hiroki Goto defeated Tomohiro Ishii. And in the main event, Kanemoto, Nakanishi, and Nagata teamed up to defeat Sword Army, which is Hidaka, Tanaka, and Sai of, I believe that would be all of 0-1. Tanaka, of course, their champion, Masato Tanaka. But I suppose most significant about this is that it was Yuji Nagata's return from injury after a couple months, I think. He was out for a little while there. Moving on the 5th of May, New Japan Premium, also in Korakuen Hall, we had Liger and Fujinami. Tatsumi Fujinami's back. teaming up with Liger. They defeat Tenzan and Tiger Mask. I'm sure that was a rather friendly match, even if... Well, actually, Liger's not... He's not really a heel anymore. I don't think they're heels. I don't think that makes sense, right? For a team that's of legends, and the whole idea is we're a team of legends. It doesn't really scream heel, does it? So, no, I'm second-guessing myself that I don't think they're heels. We have Manabu Nakanishi defeating Yutaka Yoshi, and Kohei Sato and Masahiro Chono defeating Daisuke Sekimoto and Shinjiro Otani. So, I forget exactly what the branding behind the premium shows are, but that's obviously, that's some 0-1 guys. I think Yoshi might be an All Japan guy at this stage. Maybe they're just freelancers, but anyway, a bit of a... It's a smaller show. Looked entertaining enough, though, I guess. Speaking of confusing situations, on the 11th of May, TNA Sacrifice 2008 coming to you from Universal Studios in Florida. And, the main event was for the heavyweight title. It was a 3-way match between the champion, of course, Samoa Joe, against Kazarian, I believe that is, and Scott Steiner. But the main event was supposed to be Scott Steiner and Kurt Angle challenging Samoa Joe. So the story going into this one was that Steiner used his Feast or Fired heavyweight title shot for a match at Sacrifice. I've talked about this Feast or Fired before. I think it's a ridiculous idea, but I've already talked about it, so we'll move right past it. Steiner used that to get and he called out that he wants a title shot at Sacrifice, and he challenged Joe, the champion, following Joe's victory over Angle when he became champion. That was at Lockdown. But then Angle and Joe had a rematch for the title on the 24th of April on just an episode of TNA Impact. And Joe only won there after Steiner interfered. So in response to Steiner's interference, the management director, Jim Cornette, scheduled the 3-way match between the three of them at Sacrifice. So Scott Steiner really shot himself in the foot there. But if he's not so good at decision making, what he did show us on the May 1st episode of Impact is that he is very good at maths. That is when he cut his infamous Scott Steiner maths promo by saying that Samoa Joe had an 8 1/3% chance of winning, while Steiner had a 141 2/3% chance of winning. And I'm going to link this promo in the description because it's fantastic. I'm a big Scott Steiner fan, and I missed this stuff. I wasn't paying attention at this time. I was a fan of him back before, but this stuff's fantastic. I don't even mean it ironically or that it's just funny and dumb. I think it still achieves what a promo's meant to achieve. It's just Scott Steiner talking about how he's going to win the match. I think it does make me want to see the match more, because he's talking about how, because Samoa Joe knows he can't beat me. Or was it Kurt Angle? I really want to watch it again. I think it was Samoa Joe. But I don't know. I don't think it's just a promo that's funny because Steiner comes off as kind of dumb. I think it's a genuinely good promo. And, that's kind of Steiner's thing, is that, he's not necessarily a great orator, but he has a unique way of delivering his message. Anyway, the reason that Kurt Angle was removed from that match, according to Figure Weekly, F4W, the Alvarez column or newsletter, was that he was apparently suffering his 6th broken neck. And this occurred on the 5th of May in Korea. It was Angle and AJ Styles overseas for New Korea Pro Wrestling. And, AJ Styles was on that tour as well, but the match Kurt Angle was in was against Osamu Nishimura and Iwgp for NKPW. That's actually, I'm very curious about that. I've never heard of it, so I don't think it's still going. So this NKPW, New Korea Pro Wrestling, according to the Pro Wrestling Fandom website, established in 2002 and folded in 2013. Let's see if we can find it on Cage Match. How many events do they put on? Well, this is New Korea Pro Wrestling Association, so it's got an A on the end. But it's got... Okay, they only held 3 shows. The first one was in 2006, and it was also with TNA guys. And AJ Styles won the NKPWA Junior Heavyweight title in their first event in the Olympic Velodrome, which sounds like a pretty big arena. They don't have an attendance there. And then the next time it was over 2 years later that they held their next event in May of 2008. This is the one we're talking about here. And on that occasion, they had Manami Toyota in the opener. And then the junior heavyweight title was on the line. That was the match, of course, that AJ Styles was in, because he's champion there. And he retained that title. And then the match Kurt Angle was in was for the heavyweight championship, which is vacant, of course. That's the first time that's come out. I wonder if I can see a picture of this title. No, not NWA. NKPWA. Haven't you heard of it? I can't see any pictures of it. That's a shame. But how interesting. The Nishimura won that match, but what we're talking about now is that Kurt Angle unfortunately was injured in that match. Just to wrap things up, I suppose, their final event was in 2009. It was even titled NKPWA Impact. The openers, those are Korean-looking names, so some local guys. SEMA was on the card. They had the junior heavyweight title passed from Christopher Daniels to Petey Williams. So they're keeping that one local, that's good. And the heavyweight title also changed hands. Nishimura, once again in a 3-way match. They love 3-way matches. What's that about? Christian Eckstein? Who is that? Someone from Germany, also known as Lightning Kid. But Yoon Kang Chul, that's another name that sounds Korean. Yep, he's from Seoul. So he's the final. Also known as Jumbu Tsuruhashi. It sounds like his Japanese name. Yoon Kang Chul was the final NKPWA heavyweight champion. Good for him. Sorry to take such a detour. So it was well, let's go back to that event so I know the names. Nishimura and Sung Hai. So I don't know. Yeah, they've got a different name here. Alvarez as per cage match. But okay, let's go with what Alvarez says. So he said it was Nishimura and a guy called Bal San. So San body slammed Angle, apparently dropped him right in his forehead. Kurt Angle continued the match, but then announced afterwards that his neck was in bad shape. He'd have to get back to America and have it checked out. And it was only announced at the beginning of the pay-per-view that he was off the show, which is after, of course, TNA had got the money for the main event. You know, people, if they were paying for that main event, which generally that's the case, people would want to see the main event the most. They didn't announce it before the pay-per-view event started. They waited till you paid for it to get that announcement. So you'd think, oh no, I guess Kurt Angle's out for a long time. No, he returns in a matter of weeks, but we'll get to that. Anyway, that match, I started this by saying I wasn't going to cover TNA so much, and now I'm rambling about it. The match between Samoa Joe, Kaz, and Scott Steiner ended with a muscle buster on Steiner. You'd think he beat Kaz, but no. Joe beats Steiner to retain. I mean, it's possible that TNA has booked things further in advance and, you know, Samoa Joe was going to beat Steiner because they didn't want him to beat Pin Angle, which makes sense. And, you know, they want to keep that, you know, maybe that sets off something for Steiner moving forward. I think he's about to get injured as well, in fairness, so it wouldn't have mattered, but it's okay to have plans. Let's get back to New Japan. The 15th of May, we had the start of a tour, New Japan X Zep Smash in Osaka. Goto defeated Kazuchika Okada. Big brother Goto taking this lanky scrub out with ease. And I'm sure he always will. GBH's Gato and Jado defeated No Limit, Naito and Yujiro. There was the Rise match, Rise representatives. Milano, Minoru, and Nakamura, they defeated Nakanishi, Taichi Ishikari, and Tiger Mask. And the main event was of GBH. Carl Anderson is with them. Iizuka now, of course, with them. Makabe and Yano, obviously of GBH. And they defeated the Legend team, which is Akira, Liger, Choshu, and they also had Tenzan with them. He's not a part of Legend, but obviously any enemy of GBH is a friend of Tenzan's. Well, actually, he's got to be careful with that, doesn't he? Considering how the last time he thought that way went. The next day, on the 16th, they went to Aichi, or Nagoya. Nakamura defeated Okada. Makabe and Yano defeated No Limit. Gato, Jado, and Iizuka defeated Tenzan, Kanemoto, and Inoue. And in the main event, Nakanishi, Choshu, and Tiger Mask defeated the Rise team of Goto, Milano, and Minoru. Nothing much happening here, yet is there. The 20th, Taguchi now defeats Okada. He's getting his butt whooped. We had Gato, Jado, and Anderson. Actually, this is a big one. Gato, Jado, Anderson, Iizuka, and Ishii defeating Tenzan, Nakanishi, Choshu, Koshinaka, and Tiger Mask. So you'll notice that Tenzan's not really getting the better of these tag matches. Goto, although, you know, GBH's whole thing is numbers. That's how they win a lot of their matches, whether they're singles matches or not, or tag matches or not. Goto, Milano, and Nakamura defeated Makabe, Honma, and Yano, which is a very strong GBH team. Pretty big. That's not a big win for Rise, but that's, I don't know, brag-worthy. And then for Legend, Akira, Liger, and Chono defeated Hidaka, Otani, and Takaiwa from outside the company. That they didn't win. That went to a time limit draw, 30 minutes. And then there's a note here from the Observer, which is about to start. I think sometime. I have it noted here in June that the backdated Observers begin. So I might quote the Wrestling Observer a bit here and there. I do try to be careful with it, though. Stuff that was written at the time isn't necessarily completely accurate, but still, it sheds a bit of light on things. So it's interesting to include, I think. So this was the Observer from the 21st. Dave said that the latest in New Japan vs. 01 program, that last show in Fukuoka, Kanemoto and Nakanishi came in to defeat Otani and Hidaka in the main event. The feud is really losing steam because the upcoming show at Korakuen Hall, headlined by Otani and Tanaka against Nakanishi and Nagata, drew an announced 800 fans, but it was more like 500 or 400 or 500. And actually, I think he's gotten that. I think that's already wrong. And he meant that match I just covered because they did a 30-minute draw. I don't see any other 30-minute draws down here. So I think, again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But apparently business isn't too good with this New Japan 01 program is the main thing to get out of that. The other thing is that he mentioned Nagata is still not in top shape after his injury, which was a head injury. So you'd want to be careful with that. We'll keep pushing forward. On the 26th, Liger defeated Okada. Goto and Nakamura defeated No Limit. Iizuka Makabe and Yano defeated Akira and Chono of Legend, and also Tenzan. Tenzan's not in Legend? Why'd they include him in there? They've got him down here as if he's a part of the team, not just an addition to their team. And then the next night, 27th, Kanemoto defeated Okada this time. Nakanishi and Nagata defeated No Limit. They're getting pumped as well, aren't they? Poor No Limit. And then Goto, Milano, Minoru, Prince Devitt, Shinsuke Nakamura, they teamed up to defeat Anderson, Makabe, Honma, Ishii, and Yano of GBH. That is what is a lot of downtime, actually. That wasn't a very big month, the month of May. But on the 31st of May, we finally begin the 15th Best of Super Juniors. It runs from the 31st of May to the 15th of June. The first night, they drew about 2,000 fans in Saitama. We had Taguchi picking up his first points against Wataru Inoue, and he won that one with the Dodon, his chicken wing face buster. And this was Taguchi's chance at redemption over Inoue, who defeated him twice at the turn of the year with the title on the line, junior heavyweight title, of course. So perhaps very quickly earning himself another shot at Inoue's championship. But as an aside, I really like Inoue's theme, and I'm going to link that in the description as well. We had Jimmy Rave beating Akira with the finish was his swinging leg hook fireman's carry slam. We've got that one. I've got that match here I can link, as well as the next match, Tiger Mask and Tetsuya Naito. It was Tiger Mask going over with the crossface chicken wing. I didn't set up the blocks. So the blocks, block A is Jushin Thunder Liger, Minoru, Inoue, Taguchi, Takaiwa, and Yujiro. Block B is Akira, Prince Devitt, Tetsuya Naito, Jimmy Rave, Tiger Mask and Koji Kanemoto. Okay. That brings us to June. On the 1st of June, they sold out Korakuen Hall for the second Best of Super Junior group match card. Inoue defeated Takaiwa with the Triangle Lancer. That'll be in the description. Minoru defeated Liger with an armbar. But Minoru was fighting forever for this one. He was super pumped when he wins, which, for sure, a win over Liger. Even if he's getting on in age, why not? I'd celebrate too. So I've got that match there. These all brought to you by the Japanese YouTube channel of New Japan. There was also a match between Tiger Mask and Prince Devitt. But Devitt was unfortunately injured in this match, and he couldn't continue in the tournament. He suffered a similar fate in last year's Best of Super Juniors, so this is something of becoming a bit of a bad tradition. What's the word I'm thinking of? It's unlucky, these tournaments, it seems, for him. But the Wrestling Observer noted that it's Devitt's knee that gave out at first, and then he sprained his foot. I've never heard of someone spraining their foot. I mean, I get that there's ligaments in your foot, I suppose. I mean, that makes sense. But I've had a lot of injuries, and I've never heard of a sprained foot. And again, he said knee, and then he said, so, I mean, again, it's a grain of salt I'm taking this with. I'm just telling you what was said, because it's better than nothing. What I do believe, though, is that Devitt was scheduled for the biggest singles push of his career. That was also noted. And, I've got this here as well. Just, I suppose it must have come from the same issue. And since we're on the topic of the newsletter, I don't know where else to put it. Carl Anderson just signed a contract extension with New Japan. So they like him. And, given they didn't give Tomko a new contract, and how few foreigners they use, I think it's a compliment to how well Anderson's done. Although Tomko was missing dates because of his TNA obligations, and they're having to fly him back and forth, so that can't be very cheap. So that might have been part of it. But they did that whole, I don't know if that was kind of a shooty angle at the end there. I don't know why they would do it that way. Throw down his tag team belt like it doesn't matter on a different show, on an Inoki show. But they do some crazy things. Nakanishi and Nagata defeated Goto and Nakamura in the main event on that particular show after the Best of Super Juniors matches were done. So, yeah, Devitt pulls out. Tiger Mask goes to 4 points. He won that match. Then we had, I think we can kind of fly through the rest of these. Liger defeated Yujiro. Jimmy Rave goes to 6 points in Block B, defeating Naito. Akira defeated Koji Kanemoto. It's a decent win for him. The next night, Inoue defeated Yujiro. He's on 4 points. Minoru on 4 points also defeated Takaiwa. Tetsuya Naito picks up his first points of the tournament, defeating Akira. And Tiger Mask goes to 6, defeating Koji Kanemoto, who was on 0 points. Here we go. Here's a few more matches that we have access to. Takaiwa defeating Taguchi. I will link that one in the description. Takaiwa kicked out of a Dodon. And then he got his knees up for a frog splash. And then the culmination of that comeback is a powerbomb. And then a DVD to hand Takaiwa the victory. So he went over pretty strong there. We have, as well, Inoue defeating Minoru. Sorry. About my stomach's being weird. So Inoue, when it goes to 6 points over Minoru, who's on 4, that one will be in the description. He won with Oracion Flame. I think that's how you say it. Kanemoto picked up his first points of the tournament, defeating Naito. And yes, this one also is included. I've just got this noted funny. Excuse all the clicking. So Naito, in this one, he's tough to survive an ankle lock more than once. And he shows that he's able to hang and remain charismatic at the same time. But after creating several realistic pinfall opportunities and well, all the while maintaining an impressive level of selling, it's a big insight into Naito's potential, because I don't see a bunch of Naito's matches around this time. So it was cool to see him in a singles match. It does end up ending with an ankle lock, but Naito showed himself to be right up there with, even though Kanemoto's not having a good tournament, he is one of the top juniors, so it was well fought by Naito. Stepping away from the tournament just for a moment, in a Dragon Gate special on the 6th of June, which went head-to-head with New Japan in Osaka, that previous card we just talked about, the Young Bucks competed. Nick and Mac Jackson, two Southern California indie wrestlers. They're touring with Dragon Gate after debuting for PWG last year, which is where they met Dragon Gate Seema. And after being impressed, Seema and Dragon Gate's American talent agent Satoshi Oji, they invited them over to Dragon Gate. So they lost this match to the Young Bucks, but they become relevant in New Japan soon enough. So they went down to Masato Yoshino and Naruki Doi. Just thought I'd mention it. Let's get back to the Best of Super Juniors. On the 7th in Hiroshima, Taguchi defeated Yujiro. Liger defeated Takaiwa. On the 8th, Takaiwa defeated Yujiro. Taguchi defeated Minoru. Tiger Mask goes to the top of Block B with 8 points, defeating Akira. And Kanemoto is on the comeback, defeating Jimmy Rave. Both of them now on 6 points. Jimmy Rave picking up all the wins early. Kanemoto picking up all the wins since. Another detour. On the 8th, TNA Slammiversary in the DeSoto County Civic Center, Mississippi. About 2,000 people paid to attend this one. AJ Styles defeated Kurt Angle in, like I mentioned before, it didn't take long for Kurt Angle to return. AJ Styles picks up the win over him here. According to the Wrestling Observer, Angle's arms looked tiny, and it was scary to watch him wrestle. But yeah, so he's apparently been in this months-long feud with his wife, Karen Angle, and it's losing steam. And then you had Tomkos and Styles, who lost the tag titles in controversial fashion at Lockdown. And then while Tomko was out with injury, Styles decided that he wanted to be a singles wrestler, and they seemed to disband the tag team relatively amicably, but the referee still didn't trust Tomko, and he forced him to head backstage before the match. And then the referee is involved again later in this match between Styles and Angle, taking a bump, allowing the introduction of Karen Angle, who ran down, attempted to hand Kurt a steel chair, but once Angle grabbed the chair, she refused to release it, which that delay that was caused allowed Styles to perform the Styles Clash and win the contest. And then after that encounter, Angle and Tomko assaulted Styles. So, despite all of that, it seems like a big win for Styles. But Tomko properly turned on him and is with Angle now. I don't know. I don't even know why I read this stuff. And then for the world title in TNA, it was a King of the Mountain match. Kevin Nash was the special enforcer. Samoa Joe defeated Booker T, Christian Cage, Rhino, and Robert Roode to retain. So the idea of these matches is to climb the ladder, hang the championship belt on a hook above the ring. So I guess it's kind of a reverse, rather than take it down. Okay. But before you can do that, you've got to qualify by pinning or making another wrestler submit in the match. So once you've done that, then you can qualify for someone that can get up the ladder and hang the championship, and then I suppose leave it up there for a bit, yay, and then take it back, and then you're the champion. I don't know. Seems strange to me. And the wrestler that gets pinned or submitted, they get placed in a penalty box for 2 minutes. And it's no disqualification rules. And that seems so convoluted. But Joe was the last to qualify by pinning Roode after a muscle buster, and then he hung the title at 19 minutes 49 seconds to win. So just under 20 minutes. Joe hung the title, won the match. But there was tragedy after this show. There was a man that was killed and another injured seriously from the crew. As they were putting away stage equipment, someone was taking down some lights, and the scaffolding he was on collapsed, and he fell and was killed. And that's the other guy that was severely injured. He lost his thumb. Gosh, this was about 25 minutes after the pay-per-view ended, so almost everyone had left. But R.I.P. Kevin Sinex, who lost his life that day. In other news following that event, Scott Steiner blew his knee out. This is what I was talking about. So he's going to be out of action for the rest of the year. Sticking with TNA, on the 10th of June, they held the Tna World Cup Tournament. So this is the third time they've done this tournament. As of 2021, it's the last time they've held it, by the way. So there's Team TNA / USA. That's Kaz, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Curryman. There's Team Mexico, Ultimo Guerrero, Averno, Ray Bucanero, and Volador Jr. Team Japan is Milano Collection AT, Masato Yoshino, Naruki Doi, and Puma, which is actually TJ Perkins, TJP, under a hood. And the Team International is Davari, who's from Iran, Kozlov, who is Moldovan, but they call him Russian, Doug Williams from the UK, and Tyson Du? How do you pronounce it? D-U-X. Dux? Dukes? From Canada. Round 1 was the tag team matches. Round 2 was singles matches. The rest of the tournament was on the 13th of July at TNA Victory Road. But there's New Japan guys involved, so I guess we'll run through it quickly. Or at least one. Milano Collection. So, first round, as mentioned, tag matches. Motor City Machine Guns, which is Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, they defeated they're from the TNA team, and they defeated the international team of Davari and Tyson Dukes. I'm just going to call them Ducks, because that's easier for me. Oh man, this is all over the place, isn't it? And we're nearly done. Jesus. Okay. On the 13th, we'll at least get through the best of Super Juniors here. Inoue goes to 8 points, defeating Liger. Tiger Mask goes to 10 points, defeating Jimmy Rave. On the 14th, Yujiro defeats Minoru. Taguchi goes to 8 points, defeating Liger, who's only on 4 points. And then on the 15th, in Korakuen Hall, the standings are going into the semi-finals. Taguchi and Inoue in Block A, both on 8 points. I'll go through all of them. Minoru, Liger, and Takaiwa ended with 4 points. Yujiro at the bottom with 2 points. Tiger Mask tops Block B with 10 points. Kanemoto and Jimmy Rave are on 6 points each. Naito and Akira are on 4 points. And Devitt withdrew in the first match, so he's on 0 points. So this finals card for the Best of the Super Juniors 15. Honma defeated Hirasawa. No Limit finally get a win. They defeated Osamu, Namaguchi, and Tatsuhiro Takaiwa. Then we had one semi-final of the Best of Super Juniors. Wataru Inoue defeated Tiger Mask in 9 minutes. The other semi-final was Koji Kanemoto defeating Ryusuke Taguchi, also just over 9 minutes. And then, before the final, the legend team of Koshinaka and Super Strong Machine teamed up with Tenzan to defeat Izuka, Makabe, and Yano of GBH, although it was by DQ, so it might have just been that GBH were a bit aggressive. Also of legend, Akira and Liger, they defeated... and Nagata joined them. They defeated the Minoru and Nakamura of Rise with Jimmy Rave along with them. We had a singles match, which I did find on Daily Motion, so I will link it in the description. Manabu Nakanishi defeated Hiroki Goto. Goto lost to Muto in a high-profile but somewhat disappointing match, and then watched his Rise teammate Shinsuke Nakamura come out of nowhere to reclaim the Iwgp Heavyweight Championship. So that was last year, Goto's match with Muto. Goto since then is... He beat Ishii in February, he lost to Tanahashi in the New Japan Cup, but was undefeated from there. He beat Honma, Taguchi, and Carl Anderson in April, Ishii and Okada in May, and that set him up for this battle of contenders to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And then for Nakanishi, he defeated Abyss in the Tokyo Dome at the beginning of the year, and he kind of has been bouncing between New Japan and 0-1, involved in tag matches against heels for the most part. He lost to Takao Omori in a cross-promotional event, but and he also lost to Rhino in the New Japan Cup. But then he'd strung some wins together after that. He defeated Carl Anderson, Takaiwa. He got his win back over Omori in 0-1. He unsuccessfully challenged Tanaka for the 0-1 world title, but yeah, and I mean, really, he did win over Otani since then, but there's not been a lot to hype up Nakanishi going into this. So Goto's definitely got the better record going in, and is popular with the fans. I'd say there's more hype behind Goto going into this one. Nakanishi begins the match aggressively. Goto shows great poise for a young man. The fans seem to be behind Nakanishi earning the next shot, though, in this number one contenders match. There's a superplex from Goto that gets a lot of the fans excited too, though. Goto hits Nakanishi with the Yushikoroshi from an Argentine backbreaker position. And then he goes for the Shouten Kai, only for Nakanishi to reverse into the Argentine backbreaker. Goto counters with a German, but Nakanishi kicks out at 1, and then they blast each other with lariats before Goto tries to take the match in a more technical direction. Nakanishi counters with a dragon screw to a big pop. The German suplex sends Goto across the ring. A second is attempted and bridged upon, and that keeps Goto down. The fans go nuts. They go nuts. Nakanishi has earned himself the next shot. He's the number one contender. And it's a shame the clip that I've got, the music was edited out of, because it looked like the fans really enjoy themselves, and it just means that it goes silent. But very good match. And this match really snuck up on me. I think I appreciated it more in hindsight, because knowing the records of both guys going in told one story, but I can't feel like there was another story in the background going on that maybe I kind of missed. But the fans liked both of these guys. I guess it was just about it really was a matter of, well, who deserves it more going into this title match. And I got the feeling that they were a bit more behind Nakanishi. So, yeah, maybe he cut a good promo at some point or something like that. But because it makes more sense to be going for Goto, I would say. Nakanishi's had his time. Goto's on the rise and looking good. And I suppose to really think about it in hindsight, what if Goto won this and they went on to kind of push him more than they did Nakanishi? How different things may have been. Anyway, Tanahashi made a surprise appearance at the end of the show on the 15th, at the end of this show. He told fans he'd be in the G1 tournament this year, that his knee still isn't in good shape. He's opted against an operation, which had been recommended, but he didn't want to be out of action for nearly a year, so he's decided not to do that. I wonder if Tanahashi in 2021 is happy with that decision. And in other news, Keiji Muto announced that he would not be in the G1 Climax tournament, making it the first time in a while the Iwgp champion has missed the tournament. He says All Japan's having shows that week, so he can't do it because he's primarily an All Japan wrestler. And also in other news, Rick Fuller, a former WCW enhancement guy, a big athletic guy that seemed to impress some people back then, he signed a full-time NJPW deal to take Tomko's spot as Giant Bernard's heavyweight tag team partner. But enough of all of that. Finally, the Best of Super Juniors 15 final. This is available on World. I will link it in the description. Wataru Inoue versus Koji Kanemoto. Not too much to say about it, in fairness. It was a traditional mat-based open to the contest. The fans are happy to see Koji's kicks when they begin. Inoue has a lot of chops to return in the other direction. The Oresion Flame is kicked out of. There's a Tiger Suplex kicked out of. Oresion Flame hit again, but then the Triangle Lancer is locked on, and that is what eventually leads to Inoue's victory. I rated this one good. Nothing too particularly special, but... and I think that's kind of just because I found it hard to be invested in it. I mean, maybe I knew too much going in, because Inoue, he's a real piece of work. Not only does he win the Best of Super Juniors here, as the junior champion, keep that in mind. He's the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He wins the Best of Super Juniors. And then after this match, he vacates the Junior Heavyweight title to move to the Heavyweight division. This also earns him a spot in the G1 Climax tournament, supposedly as the Junior Heavyweight representative. So he's also taking that spot away from a Junior Heavyweight. He's vacating the title. He's just told you that... I mean, it's not unprecedented, but still, it just kind of really puts the Junior Heavyweight division to one side, doesn't it? Like, okay, well, I understand I've got all this success, but never mind that. I'm going to go fight with the big boys. So, that's the end of the Best of Super Juniors 15. Wataru Inoue, the champion. And that's it for this podcast. Thank you very much for listening. We'll pick up at the end of June on the next one and go through what is to come next. Plenty of it. Thank you for listening. Until next time, have a good one.